Imagine paying $110 for a tiny bottle of foundation.
Right. Just a completely microscopic bottle.
Yeah, and then finding out you're essentially paying for the exact same medical technology used to heal burn wounds.
It's honestly wild.
It is. That is the kind of wild intersection of high fashion, clinical science, and frankly, extreme consumer pricing that we are dealing with today.
Absolutely.
Welcome to More Taste Than Money. We are your co-hosts, and this is your deep dive into the fascinating, complex, and sometimes really frustrating mechanics of the fashion and beauty business.
And our goal here is to help you figure out what is actually a smart investment. Because, let's be honest, you want that ultimate effortless luxury aesthetic, right?
Oh, of course you do.
But you absolutely refuse to waste your hard-earned cash on mere celebrity hype.
Exactly. We're your guides here. And that line between a smart investment and celebrity hype, well, it's never been blurrier.
No, it really hasn't. So today's mission is to analyze the financials, the formulations, and just the phenomenal rise of the Victoria Beckham Beauty empire, or, VBB.
Right.
Since it launched back in 2019, this brand hasn't just survived in a saturated market. I mean, it has completely disrupted it.
Oh, it dominates. It's all over social media feeds, and it's secured this permanent spot on the vanity tables of the most discerning luxury consumers out there.
But the big question is it actually worth your money?
Yeah, that's what we need to figure out. So to answer that, we've pulled together this massive, highly critical stack of sources for you.
We've got a lot of ground to cover.
We do. We are looking at brutally honest YouTube reviews, specifically diving into the meticulous breakdowns from the channel Khaki Reviews Beauty.
She's so thorough.
Unbelievably thorough. And then we've got the pristine, in-depth columns from top beauty editors across Marie Claire, Cosmopolitan UK, Who, What, Where, The Every Girl, and The Magpie Diary.
The heavy hitters of the editorial world.
Exactly. And because we need the unfiltered, sometimes ruthless truth from everyday consumers who are actually swiping their own credit cards.
The people in the trenches.
Yes, we are pulling data directly from Reddit's rpill MUA community.
Which is brilliant because it gives us a perfect triangulation of data.
Right.
We have the editorial perspective, which looks at the high fashion finish. Then we have the critical formulation perspective from YouTube, looking at the math and the ingredients.
Yeah.
And finally, we have that raw wearability feedback from Reddit.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the literal foundation of any makeup routine, which, coincidentally, is the core of Victoria Beckham's current business strategy.
The complexion products.
Yes, these incredibly high-priced complexion products that are infused with extremely high-end skincare.
And this is a crucial pivot in the beauty industry's pricing model. I mean, VBB isn't just selling you coverage.
No, definitely not.
If they were, they could never justify a $110 price tag. Instead, they are selling you clinical skin science by partnering directly with Augustinus Bader.
Right, so their foundation drops, which are $110, and their concealer pen, which comes in at $68, they both feature Bader's proprietary TFC8 complex.
Yeah, that's the magic ingredient they keep pushing.
And I see TFC8 mentioned everywhere in these sources. It's described as this cocktail of peptides and amino acids that supposedly supports cellular renewal.
Exactly.
But I have to ask, how does that actually work? Like, what are we genuinely paying for here?
So, at a molecular level, peptides are essentially short chains of amino acids, and those are the building blocks of proteins like collagen and elastin in your skin.
Okay, the stuff that keeps your skin firm.
Right. But the TFCA technology was originally developed from stem cell research to help heal severe burn wounds.
Wow, burn wounds.
Yeah, by essentially signaling your skin cells to repair themselves. So by putting that into a makeup product, the brand is claiming that your foundation isn't just hiding your flaws.
It's treating them.
Exactly. It's actively regenerating your skin cells while you wear it.
I mean, that sounds incredible on paper.
It really does.
But looking at the sources, the consensus on these complexion products is wildly aggressively split.
Oh, it's polarizing.
It really is. On one side, you have the glossy beauty editors, the Magpie Diary, Marie Claire, the Every Girl. They are just obsessed.
They absolutely love
They call the foundation drops the absolute best they've ever used.
Yeah.
They praise this lightweight, dewy, your skin but better finish. They say it literally acts like a hydrating serum.
And honestly, it makes complete sense why editors love it.
Why is that?
Because their evaluation metric is entirely different from an everyday consumer. An editor is often evaluating how a product looks on a model in a controlled photo shoot environment.
Right, with perfect lighting.
Exactly. Or how it feels for, say, a few hours at a fancy PR dinner. And because the formulation is so thin and serum-like, it melts right into the skin rather than sitting on top of it.
Oh, so it gives you that hyper-hydrated, rich person glow.
Precisely.
Right, and here's the thing. I'm not on a photo shoot. Most of our listeners are navigating fluorescent-lit offices for 9 hours a day. Or they're running errands.
Yeah, real life.
Real life.
Huh.
Does this actually hold up? Because once you leave the magazine pages, things get rough.
Very rough.
YouTuber Khaki and a small army of Redditors just completely balk at this strategy. I mean, Khaki did the math on that $68 concealer pen, and it is shocking.
Oh, the volume issue.
Yes, the pen contains a meager 0.08 ounces of product.
Which is an incredibly small volume. It's tiny.
It's almost a quarter of the standard amount of concealer you would get from other luxury brands. And she notes those other brands are often $10 cheaper.
Yeah, the price per ounce is staggering.
And she also calls out the shade range. She complains about massive, unbridgeable gaps between the light and dark shades.
That's a huge problem for a modern brand.
It is. She flat out argues that you can get better, more reliable coverage finishes from brands like Lisa Eldridge or Prada for significantly less money.
Prada is making a killing in that space right now.
They really are. So my thing is, if I'm buying concealer, I want it to conceal. It's like buying a sports car just because you like the leather seats. Am I actually paying for makeup performance here? Or am I just funding an Augustinus Bader skincare tax?
What's fascinating here is how this exposes a fundamental flaw in the makeup as skincare hybrid model.
Tell me more about that.
Well, Victoria Beckham is leveraging the extreme prestige of the Augustinus Bader name to elevate her makeup into the stratosphere of luxury pricing.
Right.
But the everyday consumer on Reddit feels the acute pinch of that price per ounce metric. When you pay $68 for a concealer, you expect it to work flawlessly as makeup first.
Exactly. I don't care if it has burn-healing peptides in it, if it doesn't cover my dark circles and then it runs out in 3 weeks.
And that is the friction, because skincare requires consistent, long-term application of a specific volume to actually see clinical results.
You have to use a lot of it every day.
Exactly. But makeup is applied sparingly and then washed off at night.
Right.
So everyday users feel like they are paying a premium for a skincare benefit they might not even fully absorb. And they're sacrificing basic makeup utility like shade matching and product volume.
That makes it a highly risky investment for the typical consumer.
Very risky.
Which brings us to a massive question.
Yeah.
If consumers are feeling squeezed by a microscopic $68 concealer and a $110 skin tint, how is this brand not only surviving, but dominating the market?
Yeah, it seems like a paradox.
They should technically be tanking.
Well, they would be if they didn't have a phenomenal safety net, because the brand's true reputation and its financial anchor actually relies on a completely different category.
The eye wardrobe.
The eye wardrobe, exactly.
The numbers alone on the eye products are staggering. We have to talk about the Satin Kajal Liners.
Oh, absolutely iconic.
They retail for about $34 or 33 pounds, and the brand has sold over 2 million of them. 2 million.
That's a massive amount of eyeliner.
And here's the absolute rarest thing in our entire stack of source material. The editors, the YouTubers, and the Redditors are 100% united on this.
It is a remarkable consensus. You rarely see that kind of agreement.
Never. Shades like cocoa, cinnamon, and olive are repeatedly called out across every single platform as absolute holy grails.
And the magic here lies entirely in the formulation chemistry.
Oh, how so?
Well, a traditional Kajal pencil is soft and smudgy, which looks great for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it usually creases, melts, and fades within hours because of the natural oils on your eyelids.
Yeah, you just end up looking like a raccoon by lunchtime.
Exactly. But VBB managed to engineer a formula that goes on like a rich, buttery gel. It gives you ample playtime to smoke it out with that little sponge on the end. Right.
But once it sets, it locks in and dries down completely waterproof.
It's foolproof. You don't even need a brush. You just draw it on, smudge it, and it stays.
Yeah.
And then they have the mascaras, Future Lash and Vast Lash. Both of these are tubing formulas.
Right.
Now, if you aren't familiar with tubing mascara, it doesn't use traditional pigment waxes that you just paint onto the hair. It actually uses polymers to wrap around each individual lash.
Think of traditional mascara like painting a wall. Eventually, over the course of the day, that paint chips, it flakes, and you get the dreaded raccoon eyes again.
Which we hate.
Right. Tubing mascara is like slipping a tiny rubber shrink-wrap sleeve over the hair. Because it's a polymer tube, it doesn't flake or smudge from the natural oils around your eyes.
That makes so much sense.
And when you wash your face, you don't need harsh makeup removers. You just use warm water and gentle friction, and the little tubes slide right off whole.
It sounds like a perfect piece of engineering.
It really does. But Kaki noted in her review that while the editors loved the fanned-out extension-like volume of the vast lash, that specific formula smudged heavily on her almost immediately.
Yeah, she was not a fan.
How is that possible if it's a tubing formula? I thought you said they don't smudge.
Well, they are highly resistant to smudging, but they aren't universally bulletproof. The polymer formulations rely on a very specific balance of temperature and oil to break down.
Okay.
Depending on your specific eye shape, how much your lashes touch your cheeks and your skin's natural heat and oil production, even a tubing mascara can start to degrade prematurely.
I see.
Kaki's experience is just a great reminder that cosmetic chemistry interacts differently with individual biology.
Fair enough. But here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about the lid lusters.
Oh, the cream shadows.
Yes, these $38 little pots of cream to powder eyeshadow. They are famous across all our sources for giving this incredibly ethereal, wet look sparkle, especially in shades like mink and pea rose.
They're gorgeous.
But as we dig into the materials, there's a wild detail. Victoria Beckham actually infuses real, finely milled crystals into these shadows.
Yes. And depending on the shade, the formula claims to be infused with rose quartz, amethyst, or even moonstone.
Which is such a unique touch.
Victoria Beckham has openly talked in interviews about keeping crystals around her for positive energy and healing, and she literally baked that personal quirk right into the product line.
But wait, because Kaki did a little Google search during her review that completely derailed things.
Oh, the tiger's eye incident.
Yes, she looked into the shade mink, which is infused with tiger's eye, and a quick search revealed that tiger's eye is a stone that historically is formed from asbestos fibers.
Right.
Kaki was practically yelling at the camera, like, "Don't put tiger's eye in eyeshadow, Victoria."
It was a very dramatic moment.
So I have to push you on this. Is adding literal crystals to make up the ultimate luxury flex? Or is this a marketing gimmick that's just a massive oversight waiting to freak out buyers?
Well, it is a brilliant psychological play that definitely carries an educational risk. Scientifically speaking, Kaki's fear, while totally understandable, is actually based on a misunderstanding of geology.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The process that creates tiger's eye is called silification. Think of it like petrified wood.
Okay, I can picture that.
So over millions of years, silica, the exact same stuff that makes up standard sand and quartz, seeps into the rock and replaces the original asbestos fibers molecule by molecule.
Oh, wow.
It turns it into solid quartz. It is completely inert and safe.
So nature essentially petrifies the asbestos out of existence.
Exactly. So they aren't grinding up toxic dust.
Well, that's a relief.
Right. And from a business perspective, adding crystals makes the product feel bespoke, mystical, and deeply personal to the founder. It perfectly aligns with Victoria's brand of holistic luxury.
Sure.
But Kaki's reaction perfectly illustrates the danger of this kind of esoteric marketing. It invites extreme scrutiny, and if your consumer doesn't have a degree in geology, they are just going to see the word asbestos on Google and panic.
And it completely distracts from the actual product performance.
It really does.
Which, unfortunately, the Reddit community had some very real functional gripes about anyway. I mean, as beautiful as the lid lusters are, several users complained about serious glitter fallout.
Yeah, that's a common complaint with those.
That gorgeous wet look sparkle ends up all over your cheeks as the day wears on.
Nobody wants that.
No. And those beloved buttery Satin Kajal pencils. Because the formula is so soft and creamy, users on Reddit reported that they are incredibly difficult to sharpen.
Yeah.
The tip just breaks off inside the sharpener.
That is the mechanical trade-off. To get a gel that glides on without tugging the delicate skin around your eye, you have to sacrifice structural integrity.
Makes sense.
So when you put it in a sharpener, the blade just mangles the soft wax.
That is infuriating. You're basically shaving away your $34 investment right into the trash every time you try to get a point back on it.
It hurts to watch.
It really does. But this mechanical failure transitions us perfectly into our next major theme. Because it's not just the formulas that are making these eye and lip products successful.
No, definitely not.
The entire Victoria Beckham Beauty empire relies on physical, tactile nostalgia to justify its luxury price point.
You're talking about the packaging and the marketing of the Posh persona.
Yes. Let's look at the lip products. You have the Posh lipsticks, the lip definers, the Posh gloss. The shades have names like Pop, Pose, Bikini, Tan Line.
It's very evocative.
The whole vibe is explicitly designed to evoke that classic, iconic 1990s Posh spice pout. It is basically weaponized nostalgia.
It's incredibly effective because it taps into a specific cultural memory for millennials and Gen X consumers.
For sure.
These are the demographics who grew up idolizing that aesthetic and who now have the disposable income to actually buy luxury beauty.
Yeah, we have adult money now.
Exactly. But the nostalgia isn't just in the names, it is engineered into the physical objects themselves.
The packaging is genuinely stunning. We are talking gilded tortoiseshell and horn designs, incredibly heavy metals, actual glass bottles for the liquid products.
It feels expensive.
It looks like it belongs on a vanity in a 1920s Parisian hotel. But this brings up a massive debate across our sources: functionality versus aesthetic.
And this is where the tension between high fashion design and everyday usability really peaks.
Yeah.
Take the Color Wash liquid blush. The pigment is a beautiful, literal watercolor stain that melts into the cheeks for a really natural flush.
Sounds lovely.
But both the Magpie Diary and Khaki pointed out that the heavy glass dropper bottle is incredibly finicky.
Why use a dropper for blush anyway?
Because the formula is essentially a liquid water stain rather than a standard cream. But droppers are notoriously hard to control.
Right.
You end up squeezing out way too much product, which wastes it, or it drips down the side of the beautiful glass bottle and just ruins the aesthetic.
And the Reddit users were absolutely ruthless about the bitten lip tints.
Oh, the applicators.
Yes. Multiple users complained that the sponge doe foot applicators literally snapped off inside the tube after just 3 months of use.
That's a huge quality control issue.
It's terrible. And Khaki had a really pointed critique about the Posh lipsticks. She noted how incredibly tiny and slim the tubes are. She likened the aesthetic to those skinny legend feminine cigarettes from the 90s, the Virginia Slims.
That's a hilarious comparison.
It's a very specific, almost anachronistic type of glamour.
It is. And when you have applicators snapping off and glass droppers that are hard to squeeze, it forces us to evaluate the actual utility of the product.
So what does this all mean? If I buy a $40 lip tint and the sponge snaps off in 3 months, I am not feeling nostalgic. I am feeling scammed.
Totally understandable.
I mean, it's like holding a heavy vintage cigarette case or a piece of inherited jewelry. Am I just paying to have a beautiful, heavy object sitting on my vanity? How does a luxury brand survive that kind of functional flaw?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of the luxury beauty business, the answer is that the packaging itself is part of the product's function.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, in this tier of the market, the physical weight and the visual look of the packaging are genuinely just as crucial to the consumer satisfaction as the pigment inside. It signals status.
Oh, it's the clout factor.
Precisely. When you pull that heavy tortoiseshell matte bronzing brick out of your purse in a restaurant bathroom, it communicates something about your taste.
Your lifestyle, your income level.
Yeah, it feels substantial. Even with the functional flaws we've discussed, the breaking sponges, the messy droppers, that sensory experience of the cold metal, the heavy glass, and the satisfying magnetic click of a compact, it elevates the perception of the brand.
It feels special.
It categorically separates VBB from the cheap plastic packaged celebrity merchandise of the early 2000s. You feel like you are buying a piece of Victoria Beckham's personal, curated lifestyle.
It is the illusion of intimacy through commerce. You aren't just buying blush, you are buying the right to say you have the same taste as Victoria Beckham.
Exactly.
Which is both brilliant and a little bit terrifying when you look at your credit card statement.
Very terrifying.
So, we've gone through the highs, the lows, the literal petrified crystals, and the broken applicators. Let's bring this all home for you, our listener.
Time for the verdicts.
What are the ultimate more taste than money takeaways here? Where should you invest and where should you save?
Well, if you are looking to make a smart, reliable investment in your beauty routine, the sources are completely aligned on where your money is best spent.
Okay, give us the buy list.
You should absolutely invest in the universally beloved Satin Kajal Liners. Despite the sharpening issues, they deliver on the promise of luxury waterproof performance.
They really are that good.
The Reflect Highlighter Stick also gets top marks across the board for providing a genuine, sophisticated, wet look glow without any of that chunky glitter.
Love that.
And the matte bronzing brick, despite its heavy weight, is a phenomenal powder formula that really justifies its price.
Yes, those are the safe bets. But Where should you save your cash?
The skips.
Skip the ultra-expensive foundation drops and the concealer pen. Unless you specifically desperately want that Augustinus Bader TFC8 skincare infusion, and you do not mind paying over $100 for a very sheer skin tint.
Yeah, that's a tough sell.
It is. There are better, cheaper alternatives for pure coverage from Prada or Lisa Eldridge.
Yeah.
And maybe avoid the color wash blushes and the bitten lip tints unless you have the patience to deal with finicky glass droppers and potentially fragile sponge applicators.
It really comes down to knowing what you value more in your routine.
Right.
Is it the cutting-edge, clinical skincare crossover, the aesthetic cloud of the packaging, or just bulletproof everyday makeup reliability?
Absolutely. And that leaves us with a brand new concept to chew on as we wrap up this deep dive. Think about the wild, rapid evolution of the celebrity beauty brand that we've charted today.
It's been a crazy journey. We truly have evolved from pop stars slapping their names on cheap, headache-inducing drugstore body sprays in the early 2000s to celebrities licensing complex clinical skincare patents.
And infusing literal crushed quartz into heavy metal compacts.
Right. The sophistication of the entrepreneurship has just skyrocketed.
Exactly. So here is the provocative question for you to ponder long after this deep dive ends. Will the future of celebrity brands be judged entirely by the scientific patents they hold, rather than the famous face smiling on the billboard?
That's a great question.
Because if Victoria Beckham's empire is any indication, fame gets you in the door. But it is the peptides, the polymers, and the heavy metal compacts that actually get you to open your wallet.
It is a massive shift from selling a superficial image to selling an engineered, highly scientific result.
And that is a fascinating shift to watch. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the fashion business.
We hope we helped you navigate the hype, understand the science, and find the true value.
Remember, no matter what a celebrity tries to sell you in a pretty glass bottle, stay curious and stay tasteful.